We're kicking off Brand Voice Runway with a series of interviews, what I call mini interviews. We'll be releasing the full-length discussions later this month, but to give you a sense of the show, we wanted to start with something a little bit shorter because this is a sit-down show. They're conversations. We go in depth. We dig deep. I'm not bringing these heavy hitters in here to answer 6 questions and get them out of here in 8 minutes. So I really hope you enjoy both the mini and the full-length episodes. And thanks again for tuning in.
Everything which I do in life has a lot more greater purpose than it apparently seems. Like a lot of things I do is aligned with the core of my purpose in life. Like each and everything I do, every action I take, everything in my to-do list or everything in my business or any kind of thing which I'm doing, whether it's in my personal brand or media, everything is related to my life's purpose, which is to help my community, on which I was crystal clear when I was 12 years old.
All branding is personal, and it's not about who you say you are. It's about who you are and how you say it. I'm Hirsch Repu, copywriter, comedian, and brand voice expert. I've helped hundreds of companies fine-tune their messaging, and now I'm sitting down with some of the most ambitious and imaginative founders around who share their 7-figure and 8-figure stories and next-figure goals. Let's hit the Brand Voice Runway. Going down the Brand Voice Runway today is Yasir Hashmi. Yasir is known as the youngest venture capitalist in the world, the youngest investment banker in the world. But of course, he's learned a lot since forming the Hashmi Group in, I don't remember what year it was, but he was 15 years old. Is that correct, Yasir?
Right, definitely. Thanks for having me firstly, Hirsch.
Yes.
I started my business actually. I mean, in terms of launching my business officially, it started in 2019, but I started doing business when I was in school. But it's like I started doing business in an organized manner when I was 15, but I started selling stuff when I was 12. So it's like, sometimes it's confusing for me to think that, when did I really start it? Because, it's about, firstly, I mean, sales is something which is different, but doing something in an organized manner, that's a different thing. So sometimes it becomes confusing for me because it's like, when I became an adult and then I registered the business in my name, then that's a different basically tenure. And when I was not an adult and basically doing business, that's a different timeline. And then when I started doing stuff, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So it's weird, confusing, but it's like I've been an entrepreneur basically in all my life.
Yeah, well, that's really the, like we were talking about before, I always look at things in terms of the personal brand. And I think all branding is personal, even if it's, Frito-Lay, it doesn't matter. There's a personality, there's a soul behind it originally. And in your case, being a lifelong almost entrepreneur is really your brand. Being the youngest, I'm sure you'll admit, isn't so much the issue as, okay, this is really part of my DNA.
For sure.
If at 12 years old, you were on the same track that you are on, and how old are you now?
Yeah, I'm currently in my early 20s.
Early 20s
Very
now.
early 20s, yeah.
So, but you have maintained an interest and you have diverse interests. But tell me what your very first memory is of who you are as a person. Like, what was the first thing you could point to and say, this was when I felt I was on track?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, in terms of the things I do, everything which I do in life has a lot more greater purpose than it apparently seems. Like a lot of things I do is aligned with the core of my purpose in life. Like each and everything I do, every action I take, everything in my to-do list or everything in my business or any kind of thing which I'm doing, whether it's in my personal brand or media, everything is related to my life's purpose, which is to help my community, on which I was crystal clear when I was 12 years old. So that's a different perspective, but it's like everything I did in my life was aligned with that. Like for me, my life's philosophy is like a person should be first crystal clear on their life's purpose, then set long-term, intermediate, and short-term goals, which are aligned with this purpose so that you don't get distracted and you are concentrated on a specific purpose and you are aligning every effort to focus on that purpose, to fulfill that purpose. And that purpose is something which is giving you meaning and fulfillment all your life. It's just like if I tell you, Hirsch, if someone will kidnap your family, what you will do? You will be like, you will do everything to get them back because that's something in which you believe from your heart. You don't need a manual or a book or a mentor to help you. You'll just have the drive to figure it out. So same is with life, right? When you really believe in something, when you really have a purpose, you don't need someone's help to figure it out. You just have the drive. Of course, a mentor or book will help you, but at the same time, you don't lose that drive. So the purpose gives you drive in life. Like a person who loves, basically arriving at a destination, and a person who loves walking. Of course, the person who loves walking will go further than the person who loves to stay on a destination or to just arrive at a destination. So same is with my life. Like I'm crystal clear on my purpose. Then I've set long-term, intermediate, and short-term goals in my life in all dimensions of life, mentally, socially, spiritually, physically, financially, because everything is in correlation. And I set my different goals and I focus on achieving those goals in as much creative way as possible. And in life, whether it's any kind of goal or any purpose, it's about commitment, because creativity follows commitment. First, we have to commit to anything which we want to do in life. Then our subconscious mind automatically uses our experiences, our knowledge, our ideas to manifest them in a way where it uses all those ideas and memories and experiences and the infinite intelligence of God in order to achieve that commitment which we have done. That's a very interesting way to do things, and it's a very interesting perspective in life, so that I don't get distracted. I know exactly what I want in anything I'm looking for, whether it's a spouse, whether it's an employee, whether it's my next time, whether it's my next 5 moves, whether it's my next business, whether it's what's in other person I need to partner with. I'm crystal clear what I want to do, what I need to do, and what I should be doing, or how disciplined I need to be. And the other thing is this: people are a lot more binary in things in which they do. Like things are not so binary. I mean, it's not like if someone is good or bad. It's like to what extent someone is good or to what extent someone is bad. That's the thing that matters. And whether it's in anything, it could be anything in life. Like people want, like the thing is everyone has almost similar goals. Everyone wants to be a billionaire, but how badly you want it determines that who will achieve it. That's how it is. Like people are more focused on binary approach. Oh, he's a nice guy. Just because some mental bias, a confirmation bias, like if someone is from a good school, this means that person is a good guy. So that's how it is. So that's how I structured my life.
Well, there's so much there to dig into. One thing is clarity. It seems like, we don't know necessarily where this clarity comes from that you have, but that's certainly a very big part of it, because a lot of people spend a lot of time searching for clarity, and also for a lot of time, sometimes just tripping over our own distractions, tripping over our own doubt. Like I sometimes think I don't have a good sense of direction, right? When I'm driving, I trust the GPS, I stick with the Jeep. But the fact is, sometimes my sense of direction is fine. It's the doubt. It's the fact that I question my sense of direction. So it isn't an innate problem of direction, or that it's a lack of confidence in the direction. And I realized that was translating into business as well, second guessing ourselves. And it sounds like you charge forward with a very clear vision. What are some of the obstacles that you faced early on, if any? One assumes there must be. There must be. For
sure, definitely. There are a lot many now as well. Like one of the biggest obstacles which is there in the life of every businessman in the world, which I can guarantee it is the case in every businessman in the world, is finding the right people. It must be in your company as well. Finding the right people. Like finding the right people is the hardest job in this world. Like there are 8 billion people on this planet, but I think the people who are really highly productive in this world might be only 80 million people that are really doing something in this world. Most of the people are not doing things. Like if you come to India, they're like 1.6 billion people. And if you will talk to anyone, I mean, especially youngsters or people who are students or teenagers, they're just wasting their life. They're doing nothing which is productive. They're just wasting their life. They are being consumed by different platforms, different social media platforms. Same as with Africa, same as with a lot of people in China, in different countries, where it's like there are very less number of people, or very less, basically, very less number of people in very specific part of the world which are really doing things which needs to be done, and which you can say that this person is doing almost optimum utilization of their time. Because the thing is, I love to think about everything from the perspective of optimum utilization of resources, because the thing is, everyone has limited resources, whether it's financial resources, financial assets, or experience, expertise, people, access to people. everything is in limited quantity. So how you use and manifest all those resources determines how far you will go. Because, basically, I mean, no one has unlimited amount of resources, right? Everyone has limited amount of resources. And the other thing is this. Now, this is just one thing. How fast you will go depends on how you do optimum utilization of resources. Now, the other thing is this. Other thing which determines how fast you will grow in life is leverage. Leverage is the ratio between inputs and outputs. So now there are different forms of leverage. Like the oldest form of leverage was used in ancient Egypt, which is labor and employees, which is like, in Tutankhamun, the king in Egypt, he used millions of labors, times, effort, expertise to, build the pyramids. He didn't build the pyramids, but he got the credit for building it. So he used other people's 24 hours, other people's experience, other people's expertise, their lifespan of studies which they did, and used it to create something for himself. Okay,
he was the King Tut was the Steve Jobs of ancient Egypt. He had a vision, and he figured out who needs me,
for sure,
right? And who needs me to help utilize them. And so I will leverage their technological genius with my visionary genius. And but without my vision, they're not going to do anything. It's not,
for sure, definitely. And the other modern form of leverage is basically capital, which I'm using in my fund. It's like where you use investors' money to create return for all. Of course, it has to be win-win, otherwise it's not sustainable. See, the thing about anything which is bad or negative or evil in this world is that's not sustainable. You can't do it for very long. That's a problem with anything like this. So that's how it is. So it's like other thing is capital, where you use other people's resources to basically create return for all. Now, the two most modern form of leverage, one is coding, one is media. Now, let me start with media. Media is like, you have Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner became a billionaire at 20 or 21. And she became a billionaire. And what she did was also done by Maybelline with thousands of employees and decades of track record, right? And she did the same thing with her hundreds of millions of Instagram followers. Okay, so she was able to have a platform where she has hundreds of millions of eyeballs, where she can sell hundreds of millions of things to hundreds of millions of people in any corner of the world at any time. It's 24/7 being sold. Like everything on Kylie's profile is 24/7, right? So it's like a 24/7 salesman. Like the post, everything which is there. So it's just like basically eyeballs which were there, and all those eyeballs are like compounding. They are growing in a compounding manner. Like one people got to know something, then they're telling more people, more people, more people, more people. So it's like a quadratic growth. And anything in this world that is quadratic is only word of mouth in terms of marketing. Like for Google ads, any kinds of ads you do, there's a cause and effect. You spend this much, you get this much client. You spend this much, you get this much client. But word of mouth is like it's growing in a compounding manner. Even if you don't pay people, people are still, if they're happy, they're sharing with other people. There was a research which concluded that if something good happens with a person, they share with 3 people. If something bad happens with a person, they share it with 11 people. Because the thing is, when something is negative or bad, it automatically becomes truth. Because you don't need to prove a positive statement. Negative statement. You have to prove a basically, positive statement. You don't need to prove a negative statement. Like you have, because the thing about any negative statement is, why will a person in common sense will say something negative about themselves or something? Of course, it must be true. That's why people are saying. So that's how people are perceiving things. On the basis of that, they say things. So that's another form of leverage.
Let's talk about the book for a minute. So now I assume, although I probably shouldn't with you assume, but is this your first book?
No, it's my second book.
Your second
my
book.
First book, my first book I wrote in 2019, and that's a book based on Indian ancient and medieval history. So that's a history book.
Oh, right. Yeah, I read about that and I found that very interesting that you had written a book. I quoted that to my wife. I remember when I was reading your bio, and I said, "Oh, so he's not just a just a business whiz, Okay, go ahead. Well, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, for me, Lessons of a Millionaire, this book is basically, for me, is one of the most amazing book, basically, in entrepreneurship and personal development. Now, the thing about this book is not written in a way when I'm just sitting and writing the book. It's not like this. This book is written with years of experience. It's like whenever I'm doing something, I learn something, I write it in my notes. Let's say next day I learned something, I write it in my notes. Every day I'm learning something, I'm writing in my notes. And those years of accumulated experience or insights which I got in every day, it's combined in this book. So it's not like something where I thought, oh, let me just write a book to sell it. That's not basically how I plan to sell this book. So that's the thing. Everything in the book is written in the form of insights and in different paragraphs. Like it has more than 400 or 500 insights. And
very
there's no
concise.
story, no paragraph. It's just basically from childhood days. I learned things from the best people in the world. And to be the best, you have to learn from the best. And I think they'll also give me a lot of insights all my life. And I am a reader basically since childhood. So I was able to read. One of the thing is like, I only read one novel. After reading that novel, I never read a novel. I respect people who only read novels, but I think it's just a waste of time. Like reading novels for me is a waste of time because there are so many important books in this world that you can read that you don't need to read a novel. Like the thing in life people don't think about is doing something also implies not doing something. So if you're reading a novel, you are not reading a good book. That's the thing, right? So I think people should not focus on reading novels if they really want to do great things in life. I mean, reading a novel is okay for entertainment, to improve your creativity, to get more ideas, but you can only do so much. The people who make money through books, through novels are the authors. Okay, the people who make the books, make money through books are authors. So you have to think about reading the good books, and a good book can change people's life, I'm telling you.
If you've enjoyed this episode of Brand Voice Runway, please leave a 5-star review and subscribe to the podcast. The positive reinforcement keeps us going. Who am I kidding? Founders like us keep going regardless. Thanks so much for listening, and make tomorrow greater than today.